Mike and his wife in Tampa are 39 and 36. They've got nearly $1 million saved. Are they on track for retirement? Kate in California is 55 and hoping to retire in the next couple of years. How should she manage deferred compensation and retirement withdrawals? That's today on Your Money, Your Wealth podcast number 514. Plus, Joe and Big Al answer questions from our YouTube viewers on considering IRMAA when making Roth conversions, paying Roth conversion taxes quarterly or in December or in January, protecting a gifted house from a child's ex, and the tax impact of rebuilding on an inherited property. Finally, 8 years ago, Joe and Big Al said you shouldn't have more than 2% of your portfolio in gold. And one YouTube viewer said that did not age too well. What do the fellows think today? We'll find out. I'm executive producer Andy Last, and here are the hosts of Your Money, Your Wealth, Joe Anderson, CFP, and Big Al Clopine, CPA.
All right, we got Mike from Tampa, Florida. Big fan of the show, and thanks for taking my question. I know you mentioned getting some younger callers, and I recently found your podcast. Oh, that's why. Big Al, you put a calling out there.
I did. Yeah,
you need some younger callers, and then now we got the fire movement just blowing us up.
You know what? We also need my cousin who loves our show. She was telling me over Christmas. She said, I feel intimidated to ask a question because I don't have millions. And I said, well, send it in because we'd like to answer everybody's questions. So we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see if this guy's got millions.
Okay.
I wanted to see how you think we're doing. All right. I'm 39. My wife's 36. I recently transitioned to the private sector a few years ago. Total compensation, make about $300,000 to $350,000. I was making a third of that 3 years ago, so brand new to making great money. My wife makes roughly $300,000 total. Wow, they're just slumming it.
Hopefully they don't want to retire early.
We have 2 young kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Our estate documents are in order, and we have $1 million in life insurance, and my wife has 1.5. As far as the accounts, total of roughly $104,000 in cash, $878,000 in investments, not including the restricted stock. And here's the breakdown: cash, 102, Capital One to pay the bills, 2,000, Schwab brokerage with low-cost index funds, 180. Wife's 401k that's maxing out is 285. We got a Fidelity brokerage account, 218. Husband 401k, 66. Let's see, daughters 529, 35. Sons 529, 30. Husband prior retirement account, government, no pension, but compounds at 8% as long as I don't roll it over. Okay, 64,000. Wife restricted stock is 100. Other assets, liabilities. We bought this house a year ago at 6.99% for 30 years. Ouch. For $770,000, we put a big chunk down. Probably have about $300,000 or so in equity. Both cars are paid off. Here's the kicker. I have large student loan debt from a private grad school. I have roughly $300,000 in student loans. But the good news is, on the pay program, we have about 9 years left. Okay. I'm currently making about $500 a month in payments, but with my new higher income, my payments will be about $1,200 to $1,300 a month since we file separately. A good amount each month, but not crippling. With 2 kids in daycare plus the rest of our overhead, our monthly expenses are probably $12,000 to $13,000. We're both maxing out 401ks, and with my monthly bonus, I'm able to now stock away an additional amount anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month. My goal is to have the 2 kids, 529, at $75,000 or $80,000 by the time next year, which will include a 14 to 16-year runway before they go to school, and assuming an 8% compound, that would give me $250,000 each for college, which should be enough. Once I get that done, I will transition back to dollar cost averaging to the Schwab account. How am I doing? No desire to retire anytime soon. I could see us both cutting back at around 60, 65, but I think I'll always do something part-time, like consulting. Hoping to be in a net worth around 5 to 10 milli by the time, assuming able to continue to stay at the incomes we're at and put away the money at the same rate. Any thoughts or feedback would be great. Appreciated. Mike from Tampa.
Hey, you think they're on a good path?
Well, they
He's
got a
not a
lot of
fire
stuff
guy.
going on here.
They do.
He's got $300,000 in student loan debt. Got a huge pay increase, and so instead of paying a few $100s a month, now he's paying like $1,500 a month. $1,500 a month,
Yeah, call it 18 grand.
18,000.
You need a calculator for that?
No, I was doing some other math. There, jerky. What interest rate on the loans?
I'm not sure that they said.
So it's going to take 20 years or so to pay off those loans at that rate?
I think the payee program, pay as you earn, I think it's I think you pay 10% of your discretionary income for a 10-year period. I'm not sure you have to pay it all off. I'm not that
Well, then
familiar
it's-
with them.
Yeah, I'm
Then
not
it's
familiar.
maybe forgiven. What I do know is that there was a bunch of requirements to qualify, and they stopped the program in July of last year, 2024. But I think maybe it gets forgiven. I'm not 100% sure. But even putting that aside, Joe, if they're saving full 401ks, so that's almost 50 grand a year, and they're saving, he said, between 5 and 10,000 a month. Let's just take the midpoint, 7,500. That'd be 90,000. They're saving 150 grand a year, even with the student loans. They're making 600,000. That's 25% of their savings. The math should work out. I think they're doing
25% of their earnings for sure.
Yep. So I'd say keep doing what you're doing.
Right. What's the question? How are we doing? You're doing awesome.
You're doing fine.
So these are young people that just called in to brag.
Attaboy. Way to go.
Attaboy.
Thumbs up.
Right.
What do you need
And they're
of it?
not planning to do fire. But could they?
Well, they didn't ask that, so we're not gonna we're not gonna go there. But yeah, you guys are doing fantastic. You're in the top 1% plus of people that we talk to, people in the country, people in the world. So keep it up.
When it comes to your retirement plan, are you the captain of a sinking ship? Many of us need a life vest. We're ill-prepared and traveling without a compass. By plotting a good course and using proper tools and strategies, you can cruise into retirement. This week on YMYW TV, Joe and Big Al show you how to be proactive and keep your retirement afloat with the steps to prepare, adapt, and remain on course. Watch How to Cruise Into Your Retirement and download the companion Cruising Into Retirement checklist and guide from the podcast show notes. It's only available for a limited time, so download it before this Friday. Just click the links in the description of today's episode in your favorite podcast app to watch How to Cruise Into Your Retirement and to download the companion guide for free.
All right, let's go to Kate from California. Hey, guys, just started listening to your podcast and loving it. All right, hoping you can help me with this situation, get a spitball analysis. I'm currently 55, single, I have 2 kids, 18, 16. My financial assets are as follows. We got overall net worth of $6 million. Including $1.7 million is my primary home with a $550,000 mortgage, $1.3 million in a 401k, $1.4 million in an IRA, $1.2 million in a brokerage account. Jeez. $1.3 million in deferred income in a work brokerage account invested in S&P 500 fund can be distributed annually over 5 or 10 years. Got $120,000 in HSA and $50,000 in a Roth. I'm hoping to retire anytime in the next couple of years and was wondering how I should manage my withdrawals. Expenses are going to be about $140,000 pre-tax. My plans are to continue maximizing my contributions to the 401k back to a Roth, HSA, and about $40,000 in deferred income. My effective federal tax rate is about 28%. If I target 58 to retire, my current though, is to leverage my deferred over 5 years and then use my brokerage account for a year or two while converting some IRA 401k to Roth account with a goal to reduce my RMDs. This would bring me to age 65, and then I'll start Social Security. Not sure if this is the best tax and IRMAA strategy. I would appreciate some guidance. Okay, I like this question. So, good news is So she's in the 28%. She's single, correct?
Yeah.
55 single, 2 kids.
Yep.
All right. So she's got this deferred comp at $1.3 million that she's going to continue to put around $40,000 a year in. So she gets a deduction of $40,000 per year. But then all of that money has to come out over a 5-year or 10-year period.
Correct. You have to
And
elect.
she has to elect before she defers. So
Correct.
I wonder if is it 5 or 10? What did she elect?
Well, she's planning on 5. That's what she said.
Okay. All right.
But then there's ways, Joe, to sometimes change the payout period, but then you can't get, you have to wait. There's a waiting period, so it's plan specific. It depends upon the plan. I think where you may
What
be where you may be going is if she could defer it over 10 years, wouldn't that make a lot more sense?
I think 10 years is better.
Me too, because she doesn't need 5 years to cover expenses. I think you do 10 years, and then you still have probably room to do Roth conversions in all 10 years instead of having way too much income up front and then doing Roth conversions on the back end. If it can be
Right.
changed, if it can be changed, right?
And it's already 1.3. 1.3, let's say it goes to 1.5. I don't know.
Right.
What's 5 years on 1.5? I mean, that's several $100,000 of ordinary income that's going to be on the tax return regardless over that
Yes.
5-year time period.
Right. So that's 300,000 of income, and she only needs 140. So one of the things we don't like about RMDs is when you have way more income than you need because you're spending tax on dollars you don't really need. If you can defer that out, RMDs, we try to reduce those through Roth conversions. In a deferred comp plan like this, if you can do a 10-year because you've got plenty of income, it's just a much better approach. But you're right, Joe. Every year you defer, you have to elect, but sometimes there's ways to change those.
But all right, so let's say she does the 5 years. She gets the money out. She's going to be in a pretty high tax bracket, like 300 some odd plus income and a single taxpayer. You're up there from a percentage standpoint. So you get most of that done. All of your other assets are now growing, and then you can switch up your overall distribution strategy. I mean, I love deferred comp in a sense that you could reduce taxes today, but then it just handcuffs you in regards to like a tax efficient distribution strategy. Because over the next 5 years, there's nothing else she can basically do because she's at the top of the bracket. And then she can start thinking about, all right, well, now how do I create the income from my other assets? She's got $1.2 million in a brokerage account. So then you can start thinking about, all right, well, now I can live off the brokerage account and then just start doing conversions to the top of the 24% bracket or higher.
Right. Right.
Because she'll have plenty of assets. The RMDs, as they continue to build and grow, she's got one, call it 2.5.
Yeah, 2.7 million.
Well, call it 3 million. Over 10 years, that could be 6.
Yep. And she's only, let's see, she's 55.
55.
So it's going to be, it could double twice. It could double twice.
So I don't know. Let's say you got $10 million now in retirement accounts. That's at least $400,000 of income. That's all ordinary. So you're going to lose she's going to lose half of the deferred comp plan in tax because that deferred comp payment is going to give her $300,000 of income. So $300,000 of income as a single taxpayer. I don't know. Where does she live?
Let's
California.
See.
All right.
Yeah.
So there you go. 50%. So 300,000, a good portion of that's going to go to tax. She's going to live off the rest. She can save the scraps. So she's going to lose quite a bit of that to tax over that 5-year period. And then the compounding effect of the retirement accounts. So she has to get the money out, but she can't pull the money out of the retirement accounts as she's taking the deferred comp over a 5-year period because of the tax rate she's in.
Correct. Yeah,
so
that's
if
why.
She did the 10 years, she could probably start, at least slowly dripping some of these dollars out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our best thought that we have for you is try to switch from the 5-year to 10-year to the extent possible, because it's going to work out much better tax-wise for you.
But either way, she's fine.
Well,
Awesome
sure.
job. I mean, wow. I mean, with the amount of money that you've saved, congratulations. You've really done a phenomenal job. The bad thing is, the good news is she saved a lot of money. The bad news is that the government really loves her too, right? Because of where
Correct.
she saved her money and where the money's sitting, is that they're just like, oh my gosh, we love you because you're going to help pay some of the bills here.
Yeah, we got a 5-year payout. Ooh, and then we got RMDs coming. Yep.
But yeah, I think you just got to tweak a little bit of what you're currently doing, run some numbers here. You know, even those RMDs could even be, if she thinks that taxes are even going to go higher, the sooner she gets the money out of those retirement accounts, the better off she's going to be. Tax rates are pretty low. Are they going to change? Does it make sense to pay it at 32%, 37%? Could it go to 39.6 or higher? Could there be, I don't know. So there's a lot of things to consider, but she's got plenty of money. She can do whatever she wants, and she's going to help out the government.
Our withdrawal strategy guide will tell you more about sustainable distribution rates, optimizing from which accounts you make your withdrawals and when, the impact of market volatility and inflation on your retirement spend down plan, and tax saving strategies to make your money last longer in retirement. Grab your copy of the withdrawal strategy guide for free. Just click or tap the link in the episode description to get yours. Then share the show and the free financial resources with your friends, family, and colleagues. And if you've got money questions or want a retirement spitball analysis of your own, click or tap the Ask Joe and Big Al link in the episode description.
All right.
Can we go to YouTube questions?
Yeah, fire away. Let's go.
All right, so we have a YouTube question from Thomas, who left this on podcast number 510, which was diffusing a future tax bomb with Roth conversions. He said, for the spitball on Alex and spouse, shouldn't you also consider the advantages of doing conversions prior to IRMAA look-back years? Or is this couple not required to add Medicare, assuming at least one is a federal retiree?
Well, let me give you a little bit more, because referring back to the email, they're in the 24% tax bracket, Joe, today. They will be in the 24% tax bracket under current tax law in the future with RMDs. So we suggested keep converting to that 24% bracket. And so this question is, well, what about IRMAA? Maybe you should only do it until you're, 65, right? So I think that's the question. And to me, the answer is, yeah, it's better before 65 because you don't have IRMAA, but you have to consider the extra Medicare tax that you pay as an additional tax. And if it still makes sense to do it, then you continue doing it, even though your Medicare payments, monthly payments, are going to be higher.
Yeah, to say that a different way, if I increase my Medicare by $200 a month, so that's it. That's an added tax. So to do the conversion, you're going to pay X amount of dollars in tax, and then hey, I might have put myself in another IRMAA bracket that I'm paying a little bit more Medicare. You have to do the math to see, does it make sense to pay that extra premium in Medicare versus have a low Medicare premium, and then when RMDs hit, you're going to be stuck in these higher IRMAA brackets for life. So it's just figuring out, hey, does it make sense to pay the piper a little bit for a couple of years? Then I can potentially save myself a ton of, additional tax and additional IRMAA premiums if I do this thing correctly. So,
all right, next question is from PoolMileThirty on a 2-year-old podcast clip called When to Pay Roth Conversion Taxes Without Penalty. And I think this one is coming up because we're now approaching tax time for 2024. I need to pay on January 15th. Will I be getting a form from my financial institution? I've never paid any other time other than April, so I don't know how to make that early payment. Can you tell me how to go about making that payment before I file my taxes in April? Thank you.
Yes, I think the question is referring to when you do a Roth conversion, it may put you may owe taxes, and you may have to make an estimated payment. There's reasons why you wouldn't have to, but in many cases you have to make an estimated payment, and it would be January 15th if you made that Roth conversion in Q4. of last year. You pay it through an IRS form. It's a 1040 ES, estimated payment. So 1040 ES, and you can download that online, print it, cut it out, write a check for the amount to the IRS, and put it in an envelope and mail it. It's not going to come from your financial institution. You've got to go ahead and get it. You can get it from your accountant. You can download it yourself, but that's generally how you pay it. You can also pay online. Some people like to do that, some people don't, but that's how you you have to take the initiative yourself, or you have to ask your accountant to help you with that.
Is he asking for a tax form or how much the tax is going to be?
He's asking for a form. He thought his financial institution might send it to him.
Yeah.
This is where if you have an accountant, will help you, we'll figure out how much you should pay, and then we'll give you the form to pay it. If you are preparing taxes yourself, let's say on TurboTax or some other tax program, then you would have to do a little tax projection for the following year to see how much it is, print out the form, and then go ahead and cut it out, send it in with your check.
So, but he did a Roth conversion, so he's always paid taxes in April. He's like, all right, since I did a Roth conversion, I'm going to have to pay money in April 15th. Is there going to be a form? How much money do I pay? How do I go about paying it?
Well, he's responding to something that we talked about on paying it January 15th. I think that's what the question is.
Whoever this person is he asking a question about a question that we answered, or is he commenting on a question that we answered to someone else?
Yes.
Yeah, he's commenting. So I probably talked about when estimated payments are due. And then I said, if you end up owing taxes, you may have to make a quarterly estimated payment. So he's asking how to do that.
Sure. All right.
All right. And then the next one is actually on that same video. Somebody says, this is somebody named TacticalTruth, who says, so make a Roth IRA conversion in January and you can pay the taxes equally across 4 quarters. Make the Roth IRA conversion in December and pay the entire tax amount for the conversion by January 5th of the following year. Is that correct?
Yes, January 15th. But in either case, with the first question and the second question, your fourth quarter income is higher if you make that Roth conversion in the fourth quarter. So you have to, it gets more complicated, but you have to do the annualization method on your tax return, or you have to have your accountant do it so that you're not penalized to show that you had uneven income throughout the year. But that's a correct statement. We still like Roth conversions, Joe, generally in January, just because you get another full year of tax-free growth, regardless of the extra tax that you pay over the course of the year.
Yeah, the market does 10%. I'd much rather be in the market in January than in December, because you get the full year of that growth tax-free versus doing the conversion in December. You're only going to get 1 month of that growth, or this year you would have took a loss, or last year.
The next one is from Emjay on best way to help adult kids buy a house. Emjay says, how do you best protect against your child's de facto ex taking half of your housing gift if they later split up?
All right, so I guess he wants to give money to his kid, but his kid's married, wants to make sure that it stays with the kid if they split up. Is that what you're
Basically, yes.
saying?
But
Yeah.
it says the child's de facto, so it sounds like they're not married. They're living together.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends upon the state, whether it's a community property state or not, for one thing, depends upon the laws of the state. But I think what most people do in a case like this, where you want to be ultra safe, is you would just set up separate property, or maybe even set up a trust so it's in a trust. I mean, there's ways to protect income. This is actually more of a legal question, probably than a financial question. But yeah, there are ways to help protect the assets that you give to your kids.
Okay. Thaigera, on a Peter Keller video on Step Up in Basis Explained, says, if I leave my real estate to my children when I expire, then they get it and demolish the old house to rebuild a new house on the same land. Will they be able to keep that new stepped up basis on the total value when they sell the property?
The answer is yes. They keep that basis plus any new improvements. Building a new home would actually add to that basis. So it would be a greater amount than the stepped up basis when they received it.
Wait a minute. I don't know if I understand the question. Let's say she has a house. She bought it for $100,000. It is worth $1 million.
Right.
She dies. The kids inherit the house. Then they demolish the house. And then they build a $2 million house on that lot. And then they sell it. Is that what
Yeah,
she's asking?
Yes, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So then they'd have a $3
Because-
million basis at that time, right? Because it's the original million.
Well,
Plus
no,
the-
it would be worth the higher of the two. The basis would be because they sold they took down the house, which was worth $1 million. And so you're saying if they build a $2 million house, they would have a $3 million basis on a $2 million home?
Well, if they build a home for $2 million, well, first of all, you have to consider the land part, right? Because you're only talking
Yeah, I'm
about
just saying total value, total value.
yeah. So that the whatever basis that you inherited, whatever it's worth when you inherit it becomes your basis. And if you haven't sold it, you still have that basis, right?
Right.
Basically, you've improved it. So any improvements that you add to that would add to that basis that you inherited.
Okay, I buy that. So if they sold it when she died, and she bought it for 100,000, the basis is now $1 million. So if they put $2 million of cash in, built whatever that they wanted to on their property, they put
Right.
an extension on it, they built this and that, whatever. The basis is $1 million. Now the $2 million of improvements, and the basis now would be $3 million.
Right. Now, if they did this, like if the person that passed away gave them the property before he or she passed away, then it's the 100,000. There's no step up, right? Plus the 2 million. But if they wait till after they pass away and it's inherited, it'd be $1 million step up plus the $2 million that they put into it.
Or let's say if she's still alive and they want to do all this remodeling and things like that, and they think they're going to get a larger appreciation, keep it in mom's name, do all the work to the house, and then let's say now it spikes up in value even more. Let's say there's a flipper.
Right.
Keep it in mom's name, because if mom passes and then they inherit it, they get the full step up. So for this
Correct.
example, it's $1 million. They go in there, renovate it. They do all sorts of stuff. With what was that? What's the name of the renovation shows? You hire Canterbury Farms or
I don't know.
no? You guys don't know? All right.
There's lots of renovation shows.
Joanne and
Oh yeah. What? Yeah, I know who you mean.
and Chip or
Chip. Yeah, Chip and Joanne. I don't know what the
Chip-
show is called, but yeah.
Chip and Joanne. Hire them, have them come in and make your house absolutely gorgeous, and then you can
Yep.
sell it, for $1 million more. Then
That's
what
right.
is- yeah. So you get a full step up in basis at that. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, and one final question. Actually, this one is a comment. This is from an 8-year-old TV show, and the clip was called "How Much of My Portfolio Should Be in Gold?" And you guys said basically no more than 2%. It has no expected rate of return, and it does not grow. And Eldon said, "Well, that didn't age too well." So, what's your take on gold now, 8 years later?
There is no expected return on gold.
Gold can go up and down and fluctuate. And if you look back 8 years, it actually did pretty well. But you can look back in history. Gold is generally considered to be like an inflation hedge. And if you look back the last 100 years, it actually hasn't even done as well as inflation. We don't think it's a great investment long term. But yeah, there's periods of time when it can do rather well. You just never know when that's going to be.
But there's
And there's
no
also-
dividend. There's no
Yeah.
coupon. There's
That's right.
no.
It's a commodity.
So when we say that it has no expected rate of return, because it's the truth, it doesn't. It's whatever
It does-
someone else is willing to pay for it. So that doesn't necessarily mean we don't think that there could be appreciation, but there is no expected rate of return, because you'd have to take basically the present value of future cash flows of an investment is really kind of what determines expected return. There is none in gold. So
Yeah, that's a true statement.
that is a very true statement.
All right, that covers it. Thank you for answering the YouTube questions.
All right. Hey, yeah, and that's it for us today. Thanks so much for the show. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week for Big Al Andy Last. I'm Joe Anderson. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth.
Next week, Big Al returns from his Australia-New Zealand holiday, and I've asked the fellas to spitball on whether Old Bear should marry his honey, how Sebastian should navigate the financial aspects of separation, determining how much is enough for retirement, and when you can take your foot off the gas, and more. Join us, won't you please? Follow YMYW in your favorite podcast app. Leave your honest ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts and all the other apps that accept them. Subscribe, watch us, and join me in the comments on YouTube. And don't forget to tell a friend we're making fun of finance over here at Your Money, Your Wealth. A spitball is great to find out if you're on track for retirement, but please don't base your entire financial future on it. Schedule a free financial assessment with the experienced professionals on Joe and Big Al's team at Pure Financial Advisors. They'll do a comprehensive review on everything from your asset allocation to your yield to help you have zero concerns in retirement. Click or tap the free assessment link in the episode description or call 888-994-6257 to schedule yours. Your Money, Your Wealth is presented by Pure Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this podcast and does not represent that the securities or services discussed are suitable for any investor. As rules and regulations change, podcast content may become outdated. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the podcast in the process of making a full and informed investment decision.